All right, and here we are. We are recording now. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Streamers in Depth. We have something a little bit different here today. I have a very good friend of mine, Taylor Vandy. She is not a streamer, but she is the one person a lot of people have been waiting to listen to. I've I have known Taylor. I would say I think I met you when I was about 19 years old. Right? It's pretty fair to say. Your dad was a substitute teacher at my school. And I think that's kind of how we met. He was a great guy. He is a great guy. And the one thing that I always want to talk to you about, since it's been many years since the last time we talked, except for when we were kind of getting this set up when we wanted to do it, is you always had that very happy, bubbly personality. And it just seems like through all these years, you have been able to keep that. So what's your secret in that? What you've been doing? And yeah.
I have been through a lot of turmoil in my life, as you know, we'll probably talk about later. But I think just having a growth mindset, really looking at what I need to improve on, as well as always softening my heart. And I write in my gratitude journal. I have books and books and journals of just everything I'm grateful for. And I just find that brings so much positivity into my life. That's a practice that I've done over the years and has really helped me be like a positive, inspiring person to people.
Right now, do you think that the journals help? Because I've tried to do that before too. I've read a lot of studies on, if you want to have that positive mindset, you got to be able to write things down. You got to be able, and I've heard the sticky note situation where just leave sticky notes around your house. So what do you think is the best, I guess, thing to do? Would it be the sticky notes? Would it be something writing it down? What do you think would be the best situation?
I would just start off, practicing for 30 days. So for the next 30 days, I'm going to write, a page of everything I'm grateful for. And then I just want you to watch how your life is going to change. Because your life will change. You'll attract more good into your life. You'll start seeing like good things come. You'll feel better. You'll have more energy. You will, just be a more positive person, and people will come up to you and they'll say like, there's something different about you. Like, what is it? What do you do? I just sense something different. And that's one practice that I've used over the years that has really helped me, be an inspiring person to people, I think.
I have noticed that in my life when I would run into people and they're like, hey, you know what, just let you know, man, it just seems like you're this way more positive person. What did you do? And like I said, I tried writing the things down, but in all reality, what I actually did is I cut out as much negativity as I could in my life, whether it was friends that just drug me down. And even though I didn't want to get them out of my life, it's just when you hang around someone so negative all the time, it just fucking drains you. And that really was probably the best thing that I ever could have done, is just to let them go and just say, hey, I can't do this anymore. And even family members, I've let family members go where I just don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah. And it also does start in our mind too, John. Have you noticed you can get real negative. I can get real negative. And it's like, maybe it takes like a person, kind of jolting you and being like, hey, like, but you're not really yourself. You're kind of in this negative mindset, and you just kind of look at yourself, accept it, be like, wow, let me ask if that's true. Does that feel true? Have I been in a more negative mindset? And then you can always, if you are open to, self-development, you can maybe be like, yeah, I kind of am. So kind of does start in the mind, and you are a positive person. You've always been real happy-go-lucky guy. I've always appreciated that about you.
I try to. The one thing that I think does kind of suck about it is if you have one day where it's like you're not negative, you're not down, you're calm. You're in that relaxation mode. And then when someone comes up like, hey, like, you seem like you're down, is everything all right? And you're like, yeah, like, everything's fine. I'm just kind of chilling and relaxing. And like, no, like, are you sure everything's fine? Like, that's one thing that kind of bugs me when someone does that. It's like, no, like, I'm fine. It's just I'm having one of those days where I just want to let everything coast. That's all I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And as a human beings, I mean, we have so many emotions, So if you're generally a happy go lucky person, and you're maybe, have been tired that week, or, you just haven't been feeling quite like yourself. Someone will come in and be like, hey, you're not acting like you. What's up? But generally it's just like you're just, you know, recharging your batteries or something, right?
Right. Yeah, I actually had that at work today where my boss came up and she knows I've been doing the dieting, I've been working out, and when I first started the dieting, I did it in a wrong way. My wrestler mentality kind of came back where I was eating like once a day, barely any food. I'm just kind of constantly working out, and it was just my body wasn't getting the nutrients that it needed. But
Yeah.
so she came up to me again today, and she's like, "Are you doing that dieting again? Because I can just tell like you're not yourself." And I'm like, "No, I'm coasting. Like everything's good."
Oh, good. Oh, so they kind of knew your history, maybe that were restricting. But really, what it's about is living that healthy lifestyle. It's a lifestyle change, because that people go on diets and then they always gain it back. But it's really about, can you keep that healthy lifestyle the rest of your life? You can still have the burgers and French fries, but it's just kind of about making different choices. If you go out to a restaurant, maybe one time, you'll have the burgers, French fries. The next time, all right, let's order salad. Let's dial it down a little bit. But
Yeah, you got to find that balance and everything. So I was looking at a couple of your videos. If you guys don't know, Taylor here has a YouTube called Heartbreak Healer. Is that correct? That's the right name, right?
yep,
All right.
the Heartbreak Healer. Yeah.
Yeah, Heartbreak Healer. What made you come up with the Heartbreak Healer? Was it something that you kind of went through and you thought you kind of have some advice for people? What brought up the Heartbreak Healer?
Yes, I went through a really bad breakup, and was kind of the first guy I really had given my heart to. And it was the type of relationship where I thought it was so good. I had gotten flowers, every week for like 4 years. I was never put down. It was just, and then it kind of came to a halt one day, and I was just devastated because I thought I had the best, relationship of anyone I knew. Come to find out, I was just a little bit blind in some areas. Maybe there was some cheating going on, and I just didn't know about it. And so I wanted to get him back, because I didn't know about all this. So I had hired one of the best relationship coaches in the world, and he's from France, and he helped me. I did end up getting him back, but then I realized he wasn't who I thought he was, now that my blinders were kind of off. And I just said, hey, like, I'm going to gracefully bow out of this one. I just kind of just started to see. So that kind of started my journey into, learning about, relationships and breakups. And I know it's so painful for people to go through. It's like one of the hardest things you'll ever go through is a breakup. Then I hired a female coach, because I wanted to get a little bit of a balance, from the male approach to the female. And she gave me a really good balance on, like feminine energy. And I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. I want to help people get over breakup, because it's so painful, and there's so many steps to the breakup process that people don't know about. There will be an anger stage, there will be a sadness stage, there will be reaching out stage, frantic panic stage, wanting them back. There will be, acceptance stage, so a lot of people don't know this. And just through my own experience, and then I've taken some advice from other coaches, and then I just set up, the Heartbreak Healer program, and I have a 20-day breakup recovery program for anyone, that's going through a breakup. It's like a day-by-day, step-by-step. Okay, today, this is what you do today. This is what you do on day 2. This is what you do on day 3. This is what you do on day 4. And it really like guides you through a breakup, which is one of the hardest, it's one of the hardest things to go through.
Yeah,
Breakups
breakups are a tough thing. Now, kind of going back, when you said, you wanted to get him back after this breakup, you weren't 100% sure if he was cheating or not, but you wanted to get him back. Now, is there different steps too, where let's say someone confirmed, yes, this person cheated on me, or this person, like after we broke up, I finally realized they were treating me like shit, but I'm still hurt. You know, is there a process of doing that? Because you necessarily don't want them back then. Unless you do. I don't know why you'd want to go back to someone that treated you like shit. But is there a portion of it where it's like, okay, you don't know if they cheated on you, let's take this route. You know they cheated on you, let's take this route. Is there different steps like that?
Is the question, do you want to let them go, or do you want to get them back?
You want to let them go.
Okay, so if you want to let them go, there's definitely a process, and it all really comes back to refocusing on yourself. All that energy that you focus on the person that, is, you're going through this breakup with, you need to turn that around on you. You know what I mean? Like all that thought energy, all that focus really has to be turned around on you. And, getting back to doing what you love, your favorite hobbies, trying new things, exercise is the big one, especially when you first break up, because there are so many emotions. You're going through anger, you're pissed, you're sad, you're grieving, you don't even want to live sometimes. It's just a nightmare. So, you definitely want to get into an exercise routine, at least for the first month, where you are going as hard as you can. I'm saying take it to 11, to kind of get all of that out of your body, because there's going to be so much vibrating in there. There's going to be so much hurt and pain and, struggle, and your mind. It's really in your mind. Your mind just goes crazy after a breakup. And so it's really kind of just about, balancing that out, kind of getting rid of all that energy through physical activity. So that's a huge one to get over a partner faster.
Yeah. I always thought, the mind is a very interesting thing, because there's been times, I've always been one of those people. I don't like to give second chances. If we didn't work, you're an ex for a reason. But I still find that, I would ask myself, what is wrong with me? Because, it's happened.
Yeah.
So I had to work through that of what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? And it's not necessarily I'm thinking of them at all. So it's kind of like what you said. I was focusing on me. What did I do? What could I have done different?
That's so beautiful you say that, John, because in my program, there is one day, it's called self-inventory. And I'm going through a breakup right now, and I'm actually using my own program. And I just got, to the self-inventory a few days ago, and I realized, oh my God, I wasn't as perfect as I thought. You know what I mean? And it's for me to have a better relationship in the future, there's some things that I need to work on too. You know what I mean? And so it's writing down all the problems there ever were in the relationship and how you would do it better next time. Okay. And so that's kind of the process in one of the days, is you write down all the problems and all the solutions and how you would behave better next time.
I mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, doing the self-evaluation, and definitely
That's so
never
cool that you did that, though. You kind of looked in yourself internally. You kind of were okay, how can I grow? How can I change in that? That takes a big person to do that.
That's just always the way I've looked at it, is you can't constantly blame the other person all the time, because it's not them all the time. It's whether you guys worked as a unit, whether or not you guys even really connected that well, or were you guys forcing things. It's just the way I've always thought, and I thought, I think that's the right approach to go about it, because obviously, I'm happy where I am right now. I am super happy where I am. I'm enjoying life. Obviously, doing the podcast, getting to talk to great people, still streaming, and it's just, to me, I'm in a right place, that I think, and it's been so good on my mind, and it's definitely taken a weight off my shoulders for sure.
Beautiful. That's beautiful, John. I'm glad that you did some self-inventory.
Oh, thank you.
Because it is a stage in the grieving process. You blame the other person. You're hurt. You're both hurt. And you blame the other person. And then it's really getting back to the point of kind of forgiving yourself. And if you go through, if you're like you, where you did the self-inventory and you're kind of oh, I guess I wasn't perfect, and that kind of takes a big person to go through that part, Right. So that's probably why you're a positive person and growth mindset oriented.
I try my best. So
Good.
other than helping people with the breakup, which by the way we will have a link to the YouTube down in the description below. You also do some modeling. And how did you end up getting into that? Was that something you always wanted to do? Because I remember you did a lot of music stuff when I knew you. How did the whole modeling come about?
The modeling was a desire of my heart when I was young. I always wanted to model. I always wanted to train horses. And that was just a dream that was kind of placed in my heart. And I believe, you shall have the desires of your heart. And so I just prayed about it. And I manifested, I wrote about what I wanted, and it all came into fruition. I got to do all of those things.
Now, was it something that someone approached you with it, or did you have to like apply to a modeling agency?
Yes, I wanted to do freelance because I am a little bit, I don't like getting in contracts, and I was a little nervous about that. So, and then I just reached out to different companies in the area, and then I got to, be in REI's magazine. I got to be in Raleigh Bicycles, Big Sexy Hair, People magazine, just all these cool companies. And I didn't have an agent. It was through manifestation and thought and prayer.
Okay. So what was your highest peak in modeling? Was it because I knew you hit the maximum or the cover girl, not the actual cover, but you got like second place in the semifinals. What would you say is the highest you've gotten to that level?
I think, People magazine, it was the world's most beautiful women issue, and it was a natural beauty contest. And I thought that was a very fitting, if you know me in my life, I'm just kind of more of a natural type of girl. And so that was the highlight, as well as REI, because I just think they're such a cool company, and I just prayed and wrote about it. And next thing you know, I'm meeting a photographer up snowboarding that works for REI, and he helped me get the job. It was just so cool.
Now, was that something that people they saw you in People magazine or saw you in different magazines? Did you end up just getting calls from people?
Oh yeah, I get calls from people. Yeah. But the REI one wasn't. I kind of met the photographer and, came about it that way.
Okay. Now, you like to do a lot of work with horses. Are you still doing that?
To be honest, no. That was a phase of my life. I don't know if I'm gonna go back to that. Maybe someday. I gave a whole lot of horseback riding lessons. I worked on a few horse ranches. I worked on a Christian horse ranch, teaching young girls to ride, and doing that when I was younger. But I don't know. It might come back into my life. I don't know.
I mean, hopefully. You always look like you were super happy around horses. I know that for a fact. You always looked like you had a good time. It was something that you really loved. So I don't know. Maybe it'll come back around for you.
It very well might. Yep. It's just that this season in my life, they're just not in my life right now. But that's okay. It definitely come back, and I'm sure it will.
Yeah. I'm sure it will. Now, this is the part. What kind of issues did you run into? Doing, because you moved to like Seattle. Like I'm sure you probably moved all over the place. Like, are you in Seattle right now?
I am. Yep. The Seattle
Okay.
area.
What other places have you been to?
I lived in Oregon, California, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Montana, and here.
Okay. So with all of the moving around, doing the modeling and everything like that, I know we've talked about in the past that you kind of ran into some hardship, and it's a very interesting, because this is something I've always talked about. I've talked about it on my streams. I've talked about it on my podcast before. You kind of ran into a little bit of trouble, and kind of will try to explain kind of what happened here. Is you ended up in some kind of crazy cult.
I did, actually, and it's a little embarrassing to talk about, but I feel like maybe this will help someone who's been in a similar situation. So I was really focused on my music, and it was a really good learning lesson too. I was really focused on my music, and there was a guy that wanted to help me with my music, right? and his wife wanted to help me, and their assistant wanted to help me, and I thought, oh my gosh, I was so excited. I was young, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
How
so
old? How old would you say?
I was 22.
Okay.
21 or 22. 21 maybe.
All right.
And so they, you know, kind of convinced me to like move in with them. But then I had these, you know, these dogs, my 2 dogs that I had, and, you know, then things were great. I was so excited. I was working in the music, you know, industry. There was lots of promises. There was, you know, for, you know, doing more music and, you know, maybe getting more recognition. And then I didn't know this, but like I was kind of being groomed and like brainwashed a little bit, I would say. So it was, first of all, you have to get rid of your dogs. And then it was, so wow, it's like, wow. So I got rid of my dogs, and that was just devastating for me.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it was like I couldn't live there with my dogs, and so I got rid of my dogs. Then it was over time, I didn't see it at the time, but this man was what you call like a seer. So someone who can kind of like a psychic, where they know things. You don't know how they know things, but they know things, and really knew everything about me. I just was like, how did you know that? How did you know that? How did you know that? And so I just thought he was amazing. You know, all these people around him thought he was amazing. He just was kind of brilliant in that way. He could see things, and I was so fascinated by that. He could see things in the invisible realms, and it was just like, wow. So I just thought he was so cool, so great. Well, and he had a wife and all this stuff. Well, then it just kind of I kind of got manipulated and kind of brainwashed against my family. And then next thing you know, I cut out all my family. I didn't have any family in my life. Then next thing you know, they try to convince you that your family is awful, and they're, you know, they do it. I don't know. I don't know how. They're just always in your head. They're always like bringing up things from childhood. It just got really crazy. You know, now that I'm out of it, I can kind of see, but, and then, you know, fast forward after that, next thing you know, I'm just kind of like in a shed, handcuffed, you know, like, you know, having sexual things done to me, and, just kind of like just in a rough time, you know, rough time in my life.
Was it the handcuffing thing? Was it something that they drugged you? They brought you in there? You just woke up to handcuffs, or you willingly went in there?
It was more of just being so lost as a human being. Like, I had lost myself so much, that I didn't know, and I was young, and I just didn't know, and I just thought was trying to like please, you know, like please, and there's a whole dynamic that they talked about, you know, like submissive, dominant. They kind of got me wrapped up in this in my head, and it was like, you know, sexual experiences that I had never really experienced before, and, you know, then then I found out, you know, his wife wasn't really his wife. They just told people that. And he was actually with the assistant. And, you know, if I was more centered and grounded, and if I had an upbringing that wasn't so unstable, I feel like I would have caught that right away. And now I would have caught it right away. You know, it would have never happened. But
right.
In my life, there was just one tragedy after another. And, you know, I was just going from, you know, this to this to this. And I was so mixed up in my life that I got into a bad situation.
So when was the first time, like, in your head that you were just like, something's not fucking right? This guy seems a little off. Would it be the being chained up?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, yeah. Yeah. And then I started getting like physically like sick. I started to couldn't be able to eat. And then the guy started being mean to me, you know, and like really degrading me. And
was he like physically hitting you?
No, not
Okay.
physically, but you got to understand, when they can get into your head, they kind of have control over you. And so you can kind of do whatever they want you to do. You know, it's lucky that I got out of that situation.
Yeah.
To be honest. And then I saw him trying to do that with other young women. And then that's kind of when I knew, like, oh, wow. You know, because he was probably like 56, 55.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a crazy situation because I've studied cults. You know, I've looked into them. My biggest one that I've looked into is Scientology.
Hmm.
That's a crazy fucking thing. I've saw that Jehovah's Witness is a cult. You know,
Mm,
obviously Charles Manson. You know, just crazy fucking people, and it's
mm-hmm.
weird how they just bring you in like it's like they promise you everything, and then at like a split
Well,
second they change.
they know who to go to is the thing. They could see a mile away I was a broken young woman, which I was.
Really?
Oh yeah, they can see that from a mile away. And so if they know that I'm, you know, a broken young woman, um, that's who they will pick. Because I mean, if you knew my childhood, I was in and out of treatment centers my whole high school life. I grew up in a really, you know, toxic family situation growing up. It got better as an adult, and now it's good. Like I have had a lot of stability in my life for the last, you know, 8 years. But growing up, there was never really a day of peace in my life until I really kind of moved in with my dad. You know, when I was 16, and you know, but still, it was just, you know, he was a bachelor too at that time. And so there's been a lot of healing at that, you know, that's gone on since then. But there was really not a lot of stability in my life. I was, you know, I'd moved, look how many times I'd moved. You know, I was just dealing with addiction for 8 years.
Now, when you moved around a lot,
Hmm.
was it like you didn't know where you were going? Did you have a place set up already, or is it just like, hey, I'm going to LA now and I don't know where I'm going to go yet? Or did you have some kind of idea, hey, I'm going to be staying in this hotel for this long, or I'm going to be staying with friends or staying with family?
When you're kind of living in a trauma mindset, you just go to the next thing, to the next thing, the next thing. So I was married in high school. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
Yeah. So, you know, I got married when I was in high school, just to kind of get out of my family situation. Well, actually, you know, I kind of told my mom she found some marijuana in my room, and she kind of married me off in 2 weeks, to be honest, after that,
Huh.
to like a Marine. Next thing you know, he didn't even, I was like, hey, we have to get married. My mom's already planned the wedding. Like, I'm so sorry, you know, and, then it was just like from one bad situation to the next, you know.
Mm,
And I just didn't have any stability ever
okay.
until, you know, probably 8 years ago.
Well, I'm glad you're doing better now for sure. Now this guy that ended up kind of getting you into this cult situation, is he still running around? Is there a name
To
for
be
this
honest,
cult?
I'm terrified of him.
He's
I
still
don't know.
around.
Yeah, he's got to be still around.
Really? So he's possibly out there still doing this to women.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
So you're terrified. So you never thought about, you know, going to the cops or anything like that.
No, like he made me feel afraid not to.
Like threatening of like, hey, you know, if you say
Yeah.
anything, I'm gonna come after you, go after your family.
Not really like that, but just in uh just more in energetically looks. But yeah, similar. Yeah, kind of.
Okay, so
I don't.
he kind of gave you a look that would make you uncomfortable, to the
Yeah,
point where you're like, I'm not gonna say shit.
yeah, like the emotion and the anger. Yeah, it. I haven't even thought about um ever like telling on him
Oh
or
God.
getting any, you know, just because, you know, it was a long time ago, but still, it was a bit terrifying for me, that situation. And
Now,
I can't even believe I got out.
where was this? What was the location? Is it in
This
California?
was in this was in Portland, Oregon.
It was in Portland, Oregon.
Hmm.
And this guy probably has so many different wives apparently, other than, you know, or saying that he has these wives, but he's with his secretary or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of like a trick, you know, to get you in. and the young girl in. But like I said, they know who they're picking, and they can smell you a mile away. I mean, John, you're smart. You can tell if somebody's like broken and having like a rough time in life,
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
And so it's like I was so vulnerable from my upbringing, from my addiction, from just not having any stability, that is what happened to me in my life. But in the long run, it actually made me a lot stronger person, and you know, it gave me a better eye to notice red flags, and you know, to just kind of live smarter.
Right. Yeah, I've always had that instinct that if I can tell if someone's in trouble, definitely. I don't use it in a bad way the way that this guy
No.
used it. But
Yeah.
I can tell if someone's in trouble. I can tell if someone needs to talk, and that's something I've always loved doing. You know, whether it's with my streams or whether in doing the podcast, and you know, people like hit me up and just say, "Hey, man, like I really enjoy what you're doing. You seem like a really nice person." I heard that, you know, and like the one that I did, who JonnyG is, that, you know, they're like, "Hey, I heard you've helped some people. Like, would you mind if I told you some shit?" And I was like, "No, dude, like not at all. Like, feel free, let me know." Now, and I'm sure you run into that as well with doing the Heartbreak Healer and stuff, and you know, it's just a great feeling that you can actually sit down and someone actually has that trust to actually tell a stranger what's going on and able to help them is probably one of the best feelings.
Yeah, and that's the reason I'm just kind of telling my story, because it is embarrassing, you know, to have to go through all these things, and you know, talk about these embarrassing things, like how, you know, you don't realize kind of how broken you have to be to kind of get yourself into that situation. And you know, but I'm grateful for where I'm at in my life. I pretty much have, you know, I bought a house on my own, and you know, all the things I wanted to do, I've done. I've just been so ambitious and determined. It's really those situations, I didn't allow them to make me bitter, but better. You know what I mean? And so I just keep softening my heart. I know I go through hard times, we all do. But you know, can you really come back and do the right thing in the end? And that's kind of what it's about, I think.
It's always the best feeling. It's always the best thing to see too, is when you watch someone like just their entire life gets fucked and they're just at the bottom, and then you watch them just climb out of that hole. And then do so much better. So that's where it's really cool to see that you crawled out of that hole. You went through that experience, probably something you never, ever want to go through ever again. And I don't think anyone wants to go through that. But it's nice to see that you crawled out of it, and you're able to keep that positive attitude. And you took a negative and made it positive, pretty much.
Oh, thanks for noticing, John. Yeah, that's what I did. And it took a lot of self-awareness too. Kind of I'm always kind of like going back to myself, and, you know, okay, what could I have done differently? You know, and then also I'm not afraid to ask for help either. So I've had so many counselors, so many spiritual healers in my life, so many people with a lot of wisdom that I've listened to and that have helped guide me, and the right people come in at the right times. You know what I mean? I have a million angels watching out for me. I know that. I feel them. I talk to them, you know, I get messages from them, and I'm really tapped in intuitively that way. So I do feel blessed in my life, even though I kind of went through some shaky times.
Yeah, I mean, everyone goes through shaky shit though, and that I'm glad you worded it like that, because it's crazy to me just how the universe is sometimes, how you meet certain people at the right time in your life, whether they're going to be there forever or whether it's just a portion of life that you're going through.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful to put it that way. Yeah, not everybody is meant to, you know, be in our lives forever, but for some reason they taught you something. And I think that's, you know, what I'm always asking myself after every bad experience. I'm like, okay, what did they teach me? What did I learn? What do I need to do differently? How did I behave? It's really kind of about self-awareness, like looking at yourself in the situation and really kind of examining your thoughts and your actions. And I'm not always proud of what I do, you know, my thoughts and my actions. And it's really too about self-forgiveness. Like, forgiving yourself for allowing that to happen, or forgiving yourself for the way that you behaved and,
Yeah.
maybe acted.
Yeah. I do that every time I meet someone. Every time I meet someone new, the first thing that pops in my head is, okay, why are we crossing paths?
Wow, that's beautiful.
I'm serious. I've gone through so much shit in my life where after I meet someone, like the first thing I'm like, we're crossing paths for a reason. And now I need to figure out what that reason is. Is it going to be a positive thing to see, or is it going to teach me a lesson? So,
Beautiful. Oh, yeah, because I admire you. You're doing what you love to do. You're, being brave enough to be free. You're focusing on your passion of, podcasting and helping people. And that's because you have a mindset like you do. Why am I meeting this person? What am I supposed to learn from them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've ran into some negatives, but I learned from them, and I think I had to learn from them. I've had a couple of pasts of, somebody took me away from streaming and they took me away from doing the podcast. And, after it was all said and done, I think it was a life lesson of, hey, this didn't work out for a certain reason. They're taking you away from your passion. I think I was being challenged into, are you going to allow someone to take you away from what you truly love?
That's exactly what was coming to me. Your journey and what you're supposed to learn here is to not lose yourself.
Right.
Not lose yourself, and especially not lose yourself in a relationship if someone took that away from you.
Correct. Yeah. And now, we were talking a little bit earlier. I ran into a girl now that she actually listens to my podcast. She actually watches me stream, and she's just like, I never really was into this, but for some reason, like, I enjoy watching you so much. I enjoy listening to you, how you talk. And like right there, it was just like in my mind, I'm just like, holy shit, finally for the first time, like someone's into what I'm doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful.
It's a great feeling.
So beautiful.
So other than that, like, how's everything else going? I know when we talked before too, I mean, you're getting into like stocks now too, aren't you? From what I saw, you're getting into stocks now?
Yes, I am. My investments are doing really well. All of them actually are doing really well. I'm thriving. So I'm into Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. I invested in stocks, Tesla, Roku, CRISPR. Those are all really good ones to buy. They're going to be going up in the next 5 years. So if you are interested in stocks and talking money, I love finances. I love talking about money and helping people actually make income for themselves, because I'm talented at that.
I've had a buddy of mine hit me up and was like, hey, have you ever thought about doing stocks? And I was like, I don't have that mindset. I don't know if I could pay attention, I guess, that much to the stock market. But I know, like, for some reason, all I do is I see news on it of like GameStop. Apparently something happened with GameStop where all these Redditors, kind of came out and fucking just messed up billionaires' fucking lives. Like, the billionaires are pissed.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The thing is with investing, John, I think that it's always good to plan for the future, and you can just put your money in there, even if you do $100 a month, and your compound interest will grow. So for the time when you retire at maybe like 56, 60, 65, whatever, that money will compound. And so it's like you can put in $30,000 of just investing when you're young, and by the time that you retire, that will be like worth $2 million if you just put it in a general 10% earning ETF or stock. You know what I mean? People don't realize how that money compounds. I mean, it's just kind of thinking about the future, and not short term. You don't have short term, but I'm more thinking along the lines of 2 years to 5 years to 65 years. Just having that mindset can't hurt.
Yeah, well,
it's scary. It's scary because it's scary because you don't know, but generally, I'm very happy that I did. I'm very happy I invested.
Well, let's put it this way. So I've been at my job that I'm at currently for over 2 years. I had a
Mm-hmm.
401k at my
Okay.
last job, and I didn't even know where my 401k was. I didn't pay
Okay.
attention to it. And everyone's just like, you should probably find out where it is. I'm like, yeah, I'll figure it out one of these days. I don't pay attention to that stuff because me personally, who I am,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take money with me after I die. Yeah, I guess
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I should think about retirement, but in all honesty, and I joke about it all the time. I tell people I'm going to make it to age 52, and then I'm
Yeah.
just going to croak. And then
Okay.
I guess whatever happens to my money happens, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. I just want to tell you how cool it is. I'm going to give you a little story. About 4 months ago, I made, like a $4,000 investment, and now it's at like 11 grand that it made me.
Shit.
It made me $11,000, and all I put in, was $4,000, and it made me 11,000 in 4 months. So there's some cool stuff. Like if you kind of learned about the cryptocurrency and how to invest properly, like you would be happy.
I've heard about it. I've heard about Bitcoin. There's like a new one, like what's it called, like lithium or whatever the hell it is. I've heard about that one.
Ethereum, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
My thing is diversify your portfolio. Have a little bit of each. So what I did is I just put $200 in a bunch of these, and probably I did that 8 months ago, and now they're up to like that $200. They're all up to like 600, or some of them are up to 2,000. You know what I mean? So it's like right now is a good time to invest in cryptocurrency and hold for 5 years, and you will be very happy if you did. Just go to coinbase.com and invest in Ethereum, Bitcoin, ADA. There you go.
So now you're gonna get me into stocks now, apparently.
I'm like, just do it. Just trust me. My Uber driver, I told her, I said, look, I want you to invest in Tesla right now and Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was like at $9,000. It jumped up to 47,000, and Tesla skyrocketed too. She was so happy.
Yeah, I have a coworker.
I tell to listen. They're like, oh, I should have listened. I'm like, listen
Yeah.
to me. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I have a coworker that they're getting into stocks, and they're doing that Robin Hood thing, and they were looking at the Bitcoin, and it's like at $48,000 right now. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, well, you think that's expensive? It's going to probably be at 100 grand to 200 grand in a year. You got to always think. You got to think far out. Okay, 1 year, 2 year, 5 years. Compound interest.
But it's something you gotta like pay attention to every day, isn't it? Like if it's something you don't have to.
No, you just put your money in. Like I suggest, put $200 in have $1,000 to invest. Put $200 in a bunch of like these different coins, and you'll be happy in 5 years. You'll be like, oh my god, so glad she was on my podcast and she told me to do this. This is great. Made 15 grand.
I still don't 100% even understand how Bitcoin even works. It's just like an online currency. Like I'm not even sure how it actually works.
It's kind of going to be like, PayPal just accepted it into their a way of pay. It's just a way of payment, like a Visa card using your credit card. It's just another way to pay, and it's easier for like, different systems to use it. So it's being integrated into the financial system right now. It's kind of if you would have gotten to Amazon right when it started. So, so that's how it's going to be. If you kind of do some research on it and kind of realize, oh wow, yeah, crypto kind of is the future.
So it's probably going to be like people walking around with a debit card, but just all in Bitcoin. It's not even going to be your personal bank or anything like that.
Yep.
So another question too, going back to the modeling thing, when COVID hit, did you take a big hit when COVID came around?
I did. I did take a big hit. I had some people reach out for jobs, and I have done a few, but companies like REI, they're like, we're just not production's different this year. You know what I mean? And I'm like, sad, and so I have taken a hit, but luckily I have lots of other, interests and hobbies that I can do too. And if I really pursued that in the modeling, it would, be very fruitful, I feel.
Well, I'm
But
just
I'm kind of focused on other things right now.
I'm just surprised that you took a huge hit, because when you watch like commercials now, it's like they're normalizing the whole face mask thing. So I thought, for sure models can just wear a face mask because it normalizes it.
Mm,
I personally, I hate the whole wearing a mask thing. I want to get back to normal. I'm tired of all of this.
yeah, me too.
I've discussed it before with people where it's just like, obviously the flu is gone. No one's died of the flu for how long? People haven't died of old age. It's
I
always
know.
COVID.
I know. There's so many different diseases. There's so many different things people are dying from: heart disease, suicides, um, you know, uh, cancers, viruses. Yes, but why is there so much focus on just that one? Because the numbers aren't higher than heart disease.
Right,
you know,
tuberculosis, shit like that. I mean,
yeah,
it's nowhere near it. And the survival
yeah,
rate's what, like 99% or something like that?
yeah.
And especially
That's why I live my life not in fear. I
right.
just live life. I'm safe, to be honest. I have a really good spray that I use when I go in and out. But I honestly, if you talk to a bunch of naturopathic doctors, they believe that you should, you know, masks kind of hinder your immune system. And I really don't want my immune system like hindered. I try to be respectful of people, but
Right.
it's just I don't necessarily believe that that's good for my brain. Blocking off all this oxygen all the time,
Mhm.
or I think you're probably under the same. Um, you know,
Yeah, if a store wants me to wear a mask, whatever it is, what it is, I'll wear it. But in all reality, like what you're doing right now, like to kids, and I've talked about before, is you're compromising their immune system.
yeah,
Um,
that's how I.
when I was a kid, dude, like if food fell on the ground, pick it up and eat it. That's just how it was. And you're eating glue, and you're in kindergarten. You're eating dirt.
Yeah,
Kids nowadays, I mean, you're just pretty much going to be growing up in a bubble, and I don't understand. And it's made me so angry that we can't go back to normal.
well, some states are. Montana just passed a law where they mask mandate. You can wear one if you want. If you don't want to wear one, then you don't have to, which I
Oh,
think is.
yeah, I think
So I
everyone needs
mean,
to
and
go
I
back
think
to
a
that.
lot of people are kind of waking up. My big thing has been censorship, which I've noticed.
Hmm.
Even, and this is what I don't like. I follow some of the best health doctors in the world. I have not been sick in 3 years. I am so healthy because I do all these wonderful things for my body, and I've listened to the experts, and they're being censored, and that freaks me out. The best of the best doctors in the world who've gone to school for 8 years to be a doctor, and
Hmm.
it's like that should doesn't that is that not alarming anyone? It is alarming people, and I feel like people are waking up, but there's some things that just don't feel right to me
Well,
going on
when
maybe.
when the whole COVID thing kind of came out, I mean, there was press conferences with you had like 5 or 6 doctors there, and they're all coming out and saying like, "Look, this is all bullshit." And they would go and talk about their studies that they've had, and
Yeah,
that video would be up for maybe an hour, if that.
yeah.
And it would get
Mhm.
taken down, and it was like just pushed underneath the rug. And it's like, no, like this video exists. Obviously, you can't find it anymore. But you had nurses coming out that they would say, somebody died of, let's say, not, it wasn't like cancer, but like they died of a heart complication or something like that. And then they would come in the next day, and all of a sudden it was like written down as, oh, died of COVID. And they just would like, no, that's not what I wrote down. And
Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
such a big media thing where the media wants you to think that yes, COVID is the fucking boogeyman, and it's just
Yeah,
not
my
true.
girlfriend works in the COVID unit, and she just says, "Hey, like they make us, code a certain way so that our hospital gets money." And it's
Right.
like, it's so fascinating.
Yeah, I heard about that too, where if somebody died of COVID in a hospital, they would get money, and that's why they were pretty much saying that yes, it was COVID.
Yeah, I mean incentives, but also for doctors incentives. Like for example, Bill Gates is a big guy in the media now. Getting the vaccine, but why is he pushing that so hard? So I kind of looked into it. I'm a stock girl. I'm financially smart. I love finances. I love investments, and I was like, huh. So I found out who he was investing in for, the vaccine company. And guess what I did? I just bought a ton of stocks of it. because I knew, okay, if Bill Gates is investing in it, I'm going to make a lot of money. I told myself, okay, I don't really feel ethical about this. I'm going to do it for, 6 months, and then I'm going to get out. So bought a bunch of stocks, made $5,000, got out, got out of the, the Moderna company. But it's just like, I kind of knew, okay, it's not, it's kind of about the money. Like, there's so much money to be made in these vaccines. They don't, people don't realize that. And then not only that, but the inserts, what's actually in the vaccine, just because, they tell you it's good. Like, you should really read the ingredients in the vaccine. You know what I mean?
Well, another question too. Are you going to get the vaccine?
No.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
I'm
Good.
so
Thank God.
And all my favorite naturopathic doctors are all against the vaccine. I mean, not saying that all vaccines are bad. I am pro vaccines, but they've done a lot for us, but not for one that's rushed.
Right.
I mean?
And that's another thing I was going to bring up too. There was a doctor that came on. I don't remember what his name was, but he's worked on multiple different vaccines, and he said that it takes up to a year to even have a beta vaccine, and to have them come out with a vaccine between 6 to 8 months. He's like, that's just not possible. That's not even. You shouldn't even be testing that on animals yet.
Well, they haven't tested on animals.
No, they're testing it on people. That's what they're doing.
And it's just kind of like, if you get the vaccine, you get a high five, from society. But it's like, really, look at the inserts, look at, what is going into your body, do a little research, of, vaccine injury. And it's a real thing.
People are lazy. They don't want to do their own research. They want to hear what's on the news saying, oh, the vaccine's here and it's ready to go. And yeah, everyone's going to be saved. That's what they see, and that's what they want to believe. But they really don't want to do the research themselves to see exactly what is going to happen with it. One thing that the doctor brought up is in the vaccine, there's, what did he say it was? It was a certain, it's almost like a metallic ingredient in there. He's like that it can get into the brain, and then you can die like within a couple of weeks. And, that's happened.
There have been a lot of people that have died, but the problem is censorship. So people that have died, that you're not allowed to post that anymore. And it's like the whole taking your freedom away through what you can post, and people are afraid what to post, and celebrities, speaking out or, getting banned. Even people who are just like so beautiful and so health conscious and so pure. One of my favorites is Tony Robbins. Man, he has gotten in so much trouble, and he was just speaking, from a beautiful point of view. You know what I mean? And it's like censorship, like that should really scare us.
Yeah, it's really crazy how an influencer as big as Tony Robbins is getting censored that way.
Yeah, and what is the repercussions if he speaks out? He loses a lot of money because he doesn't have a platform to speak. You know what I mean? And so it's like it's the control thing.
I've almost thought of just saying fuck Facebook and go back to MySpace. I kind of want to bring.
Well, a lot of people had the Parlor thing, and then that got censored.
Tom's never let us down, though. I mean, we all turned our back on Tom.
Wait, is Tom still around?
I'm sure. And I'm sure he's probably rubbing his hands right now. He's probably like, everyone's going to fucking come back to MySpace. You guys come back here. Like, we'll all hang out. I remember when Facebook first kind of came out, I was one of the last people. I'm like, I'm not getting Facebook. I'm going to continue to stay on MySpace. I'm going to keep this going. And then, you can't talk to anyone on MySpace because everyone had Facebook. So I had to fucking break down and get Facebook.
Yes.
I do miss MySpace though. I wish we'd give Tom another chance because I think he had it right.
I love that.
and apparently everyone can create their own website. I remember you had to like copy and paste the whole script, and you would have this cool background. You'd have music in there. I think we just have to go back to MySpace and then there you go. We can buy into MySpace stock. It's gonna jump up.
Yes, sir.
So you taught me something in that then.
Beautiful. Oh, I'm so glad. It takes bravery to be free, to be honest. And, when this pandemic hit, I didn't want to live in fear. I did not want to live in fear. You know, you have to be brave enough to be free. And the first 2 weeks I was scared of the virus. And then I kind of got my wits about me and, read up with some naturopathic doctors, really kind of got my bearings. And I was like, I refuse to live in fear. I refuse. And so I just have kind of lived the same as if I would have lived, and I would get, ridiculed for that. People would be really upset with me, for living that way. But the pandemic really hasn't affected my mindset, or I haven't been depressed, or I haven't, gotten low. And therefore I can be a bright light to others because I didn't allow myself to get depressed and, get my mind all, cluttered and scared and living in fear. Makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I was the same way too. When it first hit, I was like, oh, fuck. And then you see all over the news, people are dropping like flies. They couldn't fit all the bodies in the morgue. They're putting them in semi-trucks. It's like, holy shit, this is actually a real thing. And then I kind of started kind of seeing how the numbers were going. And it's like, oh, okay, we're starting to decline here. And then you start hearing you hear doctors speaking out against it. And then it's just like, all right, now I'm going to do a little bit more research. And I think the only time I got depressed actually was when apparently I tested positive for COVID.
Okay.
I went to work one day and I just remember I couldn't sleep the night before. My back was hurting. I had the cold sweats but it was around the time I usually get sick anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
So I ended up going to work and all of a sudden I took my temperature because I was very curious and I was like, no, temperature's fine. And then my coworker was just like, oh, is that you all right? You look kind of like you're sick. And I was like, I don't know. I'll tell you in a second. And I went to go smell some markers and I couldn't smell. So I had to tell my boss, and then I went and I got my test results like 4 days later. And turns out, oh, you're COVID positive. So they made me sit home. And I think that's the only time I really got depressed was sitting at home and not being able to do anything. And then if anyone wanted to visit, they would have to call me. Or if they dropped something off of my house, they would drop it on my porch, get in their vehicle. I'd wave at them. Like, I just felt like a caged animal. And I was like, you know what? And it started pissing me off where I'm like, this is so bad that you can't treat people like this.
Yeah, well, so that's so fascinating. You felt that you were diseased as a human when, you weren't. You just, had a bad virus. You had a bad virus.
Yeah, and like I said, like in the past when I was sick around that time of year, and it felt like the same sickness, I guess I never really even thought if I could smell. I never went to go smell a marker ever in my life when I was sick to be like, oh, like, can I just not smell? And then I thought it was weird where it was 4 days later when I finally got my results. And then I really started to think, I was like, I'm almost positive I'm just a stat. They wanted to pad the stats and be like, hey, this guy had this symptom and this symptom. Let's just throw him in that he had COVID. And then to treat me like a fucking caged animal because of it. It was the worst thing ever.
I'm so sorry you went through that and felt like you weren't normal.
Well,
like something was wrong with you.
I still had streaming, so I mean I wasn't completely bored. I still sat down, I streamed and stuff. I don't think I had the podcast stuff set up or not, but I still had streaming, which was good. It kept my mind off of shit, but by the third day I was like, fuck this. I want to go back to work.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah. So you just stayed home for 2 weeks and then you kind of got over it?
Yeah, they made me stay home for, it was 10 days plus the 4 where I was waiting for my results.
Okay.
And all they said was before I can go back, I had to have a little bit of smell back, which I did. I was like, all right, I can kind of smell this. I had to really concentrate. But then I also thought my brain was just playing tricks on me because it's stuff that I've smelt before. Like, is my brain just tricking me that, oh, I can smell this?
Okay.
So.
And so, did you kind of was it the worst that you've ever had in your life?
Worst sickness?
Like sickness, yeah. Like
I felt like shit for 1 day. And after that, I felt fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I have found that, a lot of people who have COVID, experience that, or some say, it was like, I was so sick You know what I mean? So it just kind of depends on the immune system, I think, of people. You know, COVID has been around for a long time. It's just kind of the strain. I think this 19 is, you know, said to be worse.
Right, and apparently now too, they're saying there's like a whole nother strain of COVID that hit the UK and it came over to Colorado, and
I know, I was just waiting for that one. Release the killer bees.
yeah, the fucking killer hornets. That was a thing. God, yeah, fucking 2020 was just the worst year ever, and the funny thing was is everyone's like, I can't wait till 2021, like everything's gonna go back to normal. No, it's not. We're still dealing with this shit on a daily basis.
Yeah. The COVID for me, because I lived in a way not living in fear. It wasn't. It was one of the best years. You know what I mean? Like I had a really good year. But I found so many people are just so depressed. And I think that was because they got stuck in their house and, you know, were living in fear and, you know, didn't get out and didn't visit friends and families. Like we need that. We are social creatures. We need touch. We need human contact. And it really, you know, hurt us, not to mention our economy, not to mention like food sources. There's a lot that, you know, kind of came. It's like risk benefit. Benefit.
It was sad that, you know, how people are celebrating their birthday, you know, just doing a video chat, you know, which I'm sure, you know, it's cool that technology can do that. But yeah, you need that social interaction. You need people around you. And it just brings up your morale as a person.
Yeah, I think so. I think that happened to a lot of people, but it didn't happen to me. And I got a lot of flack for just, you know, kind of living free, you know, living freely.
Well, that's just human nature. I mean, you can't lock people up like that. You can't live in fear. I like the way that you put it like that, because you can't. Every single day you risk your life just driving to work. How many car accidents happen in a year, you know? It's just every day you're putting people's life in danger. So, I understand, you know, if people want you to wear a mask, then it's fine. But when they come up like, oh, you're putting my life at risk, like, okay, well, do you drive a vehicle? You're putting people's life at risk every time you get behind that wheel.
Yeah, and I had this really good spray. It's called Briotech, and so anywhere I go, anywhere, or if I, you know, was coming in on a flight, I would always spray this awesome spray, and it like was stronger. It was more powerful than bleach, but like safer in your mouth. And it, you know, it lasted up to 4 hours. So like I felt comfortable being around my family and them not like worrying. You know, I was always like, okay, let me spray you, you know, before I see you. Bringing anything in, you know. But luckily my family, a lot of them are very much on the same mindset of me, not living in fear, you know, being respectful and trying to, you know, just, you know, be safe and cautious about it, but not you know, living in fear.
Right, yeah. I'm happy that you live that way, because I try to do that too. Obviously
Good.
What's that?
I love your mindset.
Oh, I'd try. And the thing that was really hard for me was I always hug my grandma when I see her, but I was being very, very cautious, you know, because she is older, and that's what was happening with the older people, that they were getting it and their body couldn't fight it off. So it sucked. I had to talk to her through a window, and then finally, like one day, we were over there, and she was just like, no, I'm done. I want a hug from my grandkids, and it's like, all right, cool. So I got to hug my grandma, and it was a good time.
Oh, yeah, my grandma's been locked up ever since this started. She hasn't even gone out. I think she went out for one appointment, you know, and it's just like, wow, they're not letting them leave their room. I mean, it's just, I told her, grandma, like, if it was me, I'd be busting out of the nursing home.
Yeah, no shit. Well, they had it too at the point where, you know, you couldn't even visit people in the nursing home. You had to sit at a window and talk to them like on a phone or something like that. And it's like, dude, just let them fucking see their grandkids. Just
Yeah, I still can't see her. I still couldn't go and see her. I would have to stand outside her window.
Still to this day?
Yeah, still to this day.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, it's such a shitty thing. Well, we are over the hour mark here. I like to keep them at an hour. So, Taylor, thank you so much for chatting with me. I know that the cult thing was a tough thing to talk about. It's something that I really do enjoy, though. I love researching all of that stuff, so I appreciate you talking to me about that and just kind of like letting people have an insight of what you had to go through and obviously this guy's still at large, so I'm hoping that, you know, if maybe someone has the same experience or knows this fucking dude, you know, maybe he'll get fucking caught. I hope so, because people don't deserve to go through that. And I will tell you, since you are a friend of mine, you know, it when you told me about it, and this is just human nature, it kind of angered me, where I'm just like, oh, this fucking son of a bitch. I can't believe, you know, he's doing that to people. And then it happened to one of my friends. So I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But thank you for talking to me about it. I really do appreciate it.
You're so welcome. I just hope that, you know, this might have helped, you know, help someone maybe that has been in the same situation, or help someone heal, or that, you know, someone will take my advice on cryptocurrency and make some money. So anyway, I hope that I was of value to you and others watching this.
Oh, definitely. You definitely were, and I don't know, maybe I'll have to look into getting into stocks or something like that. But yeah, so once again, Taylor, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. And I hope everyone enjoyed this, and I should be having this up, I would say, probably either later tonight or early tomorrow. You know, if you want to let people know, check it out. And yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, take care, John.
See you, Taylor.
Bye.